Welcome to Roundtable Reads, where a group of professional and experienced actors perform a dramatic reading of original scripts. Tonight, the Antaries Prequel, Chapter 8, Fugitive. Our cast in order of appearance are Tani Cupid, Nick Buckland, Karina Gunn, David John Clark, Glenn Cupid, Bradley J. Martin, Corey Minns, Carol Lawton, Mark Healy. I'm Thorin Cupid, the writer and narrator. A special thanks to AAA Talent for providing so much of the talent for this project. The link is above and in the description. So without further ado, Antaries Prequels, Chapter 8, Fugitive. The crew of the Antaries, a cargo freighter working out of Engate Station, is captained by Andrew Harrow, supported by Security Officer David Menz, Quartermaster Paula Cargo Warren, Navigator Ian O'Connell, and Engineer Ravi Van. As they occasionally fly jobs for the ubiquitous corporation, they also have a 420D artificial named Nigel. Having survived pirates, pestilence, asteroid strikes, and rogue AI, the Antares crew have arrived back at Engate Station from rest and relaxation. Interior, warehouse. We open to a close-up of Cargo. She's crouched on a cement floor, breathing heavily and bleeding from a cut above her eye. She's looking at something off-screen right, her face full of grim determination. Cut to a close-up of Tech, bent over, also catching her breath. There's a large bruise across one cheek. She's looking with equal determination off-screen left. Cut to a wide establishing shot of a deserted warehouse. Cargo and Tech are set wide apart but facing each other over the open space, as if they've been fighting. Cut to close-up of Cargo as she steadies her breathing. Cut to close-up of Cargo's hand as her grip tightens around a wooden pole. Standing, Cargo lets out a yell and runs towards Tech. On the opposite side, Tech grabs up her nightstick and shouts a defiant call before running to meet Cargo. Wide shot of the two running towards each other, held till a moment before they clash. At the last moment, Tech leaps in the air. Cargo flattens and slides under her. Tech hits the ground on the other side and rolls to her feet. Cargo tries to use her pole like a spear, jabbing at Tech, who uses the nightstick to block and dodge each blow. Cargo switches suddenly with a flourish and brings the stick down in a two-handed blow. Tech raises arm, protected by the nightstick, and Cargo's weapon breaks over it. Cargo takes a moment to see the weapon is broken before Tech presses her attack. The two fence for a moment, making wide swings and quick jabs with plenty of flourishes. Tech drops suddenly into a leg sweep and takes out Cargo's feet. Cargo falls on her back as Tech swings back to standing. Tech makes to strike Cargo on the ground, but Cargo rolls into her and the nightstick breaks on the ground. Tech is now overextended and Cargo drives a punch into her stomach. Tech takes 2 steps back, winded, as Cargo moves to a crouch. Before Tech can recover fully, Cargo charges her in a bear hug, lifts her off the ground. Turning, Cargo drops Tech on the ground with a crunch. Cargo steps back panting and looks down at the still form of Tech. For a moment, Tech does not move. Then she just turns her head and smiles.
I still think I could fight you in a real fight.
Cargo grabs at her face as if she were removing invisible glasses. Crossfade to a games room. Cargo is taking off her VR glasses. As she does so, the warehouse is replaced by a well-lit games room with a variety of simulators around, including the VR machine that Tech and Cargo have been using. Neither of them show any signs of injury or even shortness of breath from their virtual encounter.
No way. I had you, plain and simple. For all your jinky, dancing, fighting style, nothing beats straight up muscle in a fight.
Tech is standing opposite, taking off her goggles.
You've been in way too many barroom brawls, where the only thing you've had to deal with is some drunk muscle looking to knock your head.
Speaking of drunk muscle at a bar, I'd love to get Dave into this. I bet he wouldn't last 3 rooms.
Tech shrugs and starts to look at the menu options on the machine console next to her.
He's not keen on combat simulators. Guys aren't into games.
Well, I'm going to see if we can get one of these for the Antares. There's been nothing to do since he broke the table tennis table, except basketball.
And the teams are not exactly equal. Want to go another round?
Sure. Let's try the ice wheel this time. I'll go and tell the desk.
Cargo places goggles down and leaves while Tech pulls up the relevant selection in the menu system. Interior, bar. This is a small but comfortable drinking establishment, meant to be comfortable to casual drinkers and families. There's a small crowd of patrons, a couple at a table and a few mates drinking at the bar. Captain and security are standing at a high table with a group of people, friend 1, 2 and 3. They've been here for a while and each has a glass in front of them of the remains of their drink of choice. Captain is midway through a story at security's expense. Security is taking it good-naturedly.
And suddenly there is Dave, gun waving, with a fully equipped combat droid. He's yelling and threatening to shoot the artificial.
A group of friends laugh and security grins, pretending to be involved.
What did you do?
He freezes.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't tell Dave what was going without spoiling everything.
There's a noise of raucous cheers as a group of 3 men enter the bar, obviously already under the weather. Instantly, security and the friends are uncomfortable, though Captain is not immediately aware.
So everyone is on edge, pointing guns, and it's the station's artificial who steps in. He overrides the combat droid, disables Dave.
What?
Yeah, and there I am, standing down the barrel of a gun pointed straight at my head.
One of the 3 new arrivals, Gurney, has now glanced over and recognised security, who is trying not to make eye contact. Gurney does not like security, and this is an old enmity. Although everything he says sounds positive, it's all laced with malice, passive aggression, and subtle jibe.
Lance Corporal David Menz, as I live and breathe. I didn't know you'd made landfall. Taken a break from making the skies safer for everyone, have you?
Leave it.
Captain is now picking up on the tension. He watches the fact that security can't bring himself to look at the new group, and the other friends seem very unhappy to be here suddenly. Gurney takes a drink from the bar and saunters across to the group.
You're looking good, Menzie. Oh, but making a good impression is kind of your thing, isn't it?
Friend of yours?
Friend? Oh, we go way back, don't we, Menzie?
Gurney extends a hand to Captain, who takes it reluctantly.
Private Gurney. Menzie and me served together on Tremis Primer.
Captain Andrew Harrow.
Captain? Well, Menzie, you just keep going from strength to strength, don't you? Drinks with the brass, eh?
Let it go, Gurney.
Gurney snaps instantly to attention and fires off a textbook salute.
Sir, yes, sir. Letting it go immediately, sir.
Gurney turns to the room in general.
Hey, everyone. We have got a genuine war hero here.
You of the crowd begin to look over with interest. Security is glowering darkly. Friends are shifting uneasily. Friend 1 suddenly gulps the last of her drink.
Look, it's getting on. I think we should be heading off.
Friend 1 makes to leave, but Gurney steps in her path. Surreptitiously, his other 2 friends move to block the exit. There is the feeling in the air of a fight just waiting to happen.
Oh, don't go. I didn't mean to disturb your party. I'm sure Menzie was about to regale us with tales of his adventures and bravery.
Gurney turns to security. Everything he now says refers to a secret double meaning, a shame known only to the 2 of them.
Hey, Menzie, why don't you tell your friends about the medal you got given? Tell them about those lives you saved at Camp Delta 3. Tell them how grateful everyone was that your team risked your necks for those poor unfortunates in trouble.
Gurney and security hold a glare at each other as others watch uncomfortably, not sure what's behind this, but knowing a fight is probably inevitable. Exterior, graveyard. At first, this appears to be just a green field in a suburban area. Nav and Nigel are walking along the strip with no sense of urgency. Nav is looking at his feet, deep in thought. Nigel is looking around, a little confused.
Ian O'Connell, you said you were going to the racecourse. This is not the direct route to the racecourse.
Hey, I never asked you to follow me.
When you announced your plan to test drive race cars, I knew you were going to do so at reckless speeds.
That's the whole point of a racetrack.
My core programming forbids that I allow harm to come to a human, even through my inaction. I am obliged to accompany you to ensure you take adequate safety precautions.
The pair walk on in silence. They're now passing the first of the gravestones, and soon it's obvious that this is a small graveyard tucked into a corner of a back lot.
Ian O'Connell, this is not the direct route to the racecourse.
Well, thank goodness you were here to tell me that. Just as well I don't have a job like ship's navigator, given I can't even read a street map.
Ian O'Connell, you do have employment as navigator on the freighter Antaries, registration 2002016.
Nav comes to a stop in front of an old gravestone, unremarkable among all of them. He looks at it, obviously moved by what he sees.
I know, Nigel. I was being sarcastic.
Nigel regards a stone that has held Nav's attention.
Ah, you detoured to come and see this grave.
Yes.
I cannot read the inscription.
Nav is dealing with a private loss, and it's a struggle to speak.
The Antaries is my 20th consecutive contract. I've been flying for nearly a decade now. Well, 9 years for me, not counting all that time in cryosleep.
Assuming a standard contract term of 3 years, that would more accurately be expressed as 60 years.
But not for us, is it? We're frozen in our little coffins, borrowing death now to be alive later. But for everyone else, they keep living in the now and then do death in one big hit. This is my youngest brother and his wife. I only met her 3 times.
Nigel is listening patiently, but is totally unequipped to help Nav with whatever he is going through. Nav closes his eyes and sighs heavily.
Come on then, if you're coming. The track's this way.
They move away from the grave. Interior Security Office. This is a busy station where a large group of security personnel are monitoring data, information and communications. Wanted posters against one wall show the purpose of the room. A uniformed sergeant is patrolling behind, glancing over people's shoulders. Suddenly the monitor in front of Officer 1 flashes an alert. Officer 1 leans closer, keying in a few queries and listening close to his headset for the response. Officer 1 removes the headphones and calls across the room.
Sergeant, we have a fix on Fugitive 139. Only the briefest flicker, but it was a definite biomatch.
Sergeant moves quickly beside him. She looks over his shoulder at the monitor showing a map of the city. A large area is highlighted.
Can we get a better lock?
Not enough time. They're in that area, but we're not sure where, or where they're headed to.
Get feet on the ground. Lock that whole area off. Search it building by building if you must. Standard armed and dangerous, dead or alive notice. Lethal force authorized. Fugitive 139 has already killed, so don't take any chances.
Officer 1 picks up the headset again.
Attention all units in Precinct 19. Fugitive 139 is confirmed in your area. Apprehend with extreme prejudice.
Interior, racetrack. This is an inside go-kart racetrack. There are a couple of groups of people here and half a dozen cars. It's immediately after a race and one car is pulling up in the pits next to Nigel. Nav, the driver, pulls to a halt, takes his helmet off and punches the air in excitement.
Oh yeah! That's what I mean. Real edgy of seat speed. That's what I miss. The Antares is a good ship, but she's a prick to fly.
Nigel takes the helmet and begins to help him out of the car.
I really thought I had 3rd place in the 4th lap, but they cut inside on the long curve. Man, that guy can drive.
Nigel suddenly straightens, fully alert.
Something's wrong.
Nav notices the change and looks around.
What do you...
Suddenly there are armed troops moving into the space and over the track, weapons out. At least one trooper covers each person in the room. Additional troops take up positions to watch the whole area. 2 troopers, T1 and T2, rush quickly to Nav and Nigel. They level their weapons at the pair and yell orders.
Hands where we can see them!
Up on your heads! Now! Now! Now!
Nav and Nigel hurriedly comply. Interior, bar. Security and Gurney are still facing off against each other. Behind security, Captain and 3 friends are looking uncomfortable, not entirely sure of the issue, and not looking for a fight. Gurney's friends are guarding the exit when they're suddenly pushed aside by armed troops, including T3, who flood into the room yelling orders and waving guns.
On the floor! I said on the floor! Now! Move! Faces down. Hands behind heads.
The crowd, including Captain, security and Gurney, quickly drop to the ground. Interior games room, front desk. This is the front area for the games room Cargo and Tech have been playing in. Cargo is talking to the front counter staff where she's ordering more playtime.
So we'll do 2 more 10-minute rounds each.
The doors burst open and armed troops, including T4, pour in. This time they're not stopping everyone but grabbing them and pulling them outside.
Engate control. Everyone out. Now, go, move.
T4 grabs Cargo, who protests.
Wait, my friend is still in there.
We'll get them out, ma'am. You need to move outside, now.
Cargo is unable to do more than glance back as she is pushed out the door. Interior, racetrack. Nav is stunned and a little confused. Nigel is as impassive as ever. While T2 covers them with her weapon, T1 moves in and runs a scan over Nav's face. The device beeps once.
This one's clean.
Thank you very much.
T1 moves on to Nigel and begins to scan as Nav finds his voice.
What's going on? What is all this?
Before anyone can answer, the device gives a warning buzz. T1 and T2 exchange a glance.
That complicates things.
T1 turns to Nav.
This is your artificial?
There's a confused glance from Nav to Nigel.
I guess?
T2 lowers her weapon and speaks into a radio while T1 pockets his scanner.
We've got an artificial. 4-2 series. We're bringing them out.
You can lower your hands.
Nav and Nigel do so, still confused by the drama. T1 and T2 quickly usher them towards a door.
This way, quickly.
Interior, bar. The troops have begun to scan the back of people's heads with the handheld scanners. T3 steps to the captain to scan. The device gives a slight trill and T3 reaches down to pull him up.
On your feet, soldier. My apology for the treatment, but under Article 79, all non-active military personnel are to consider themselves on temporary active service.
Captain stands quickly.
Then this is your lucky day. There are about half a dozen ex-military here. What's the situation?
As T3 talks, security, Gurney and his friends are all pulled to their feet as it's discovered they're also ex-military.
There is a criminal at large in the area. Fugitive 139 is considered extremely dangerous. They have slipped our net before by staying in the largely populated areas where they are difficult to track. The only thing we can do is lock everything down and get as many feet and eyes on the ground as possible.
Really is your lucky day. Menzie here knows all about saving innocent civilians from dangerous killers, don't you, Dave?
Security shoots Gurney a look but doesn't answer. T3 turns to another trooper.
Get those people some gear, radios, trackers and weapons.
Interior corridor. Nigel and Nav are being led quickly by T1 and T2. Suddenly T2's radio crackles. He listens to it, then looks along the corridor hurriedly.
We've got a confirmed lock on 139 nearby. This place isn't secure. We're regrouping in the foyer.
T1 gestures to a door.
In there.
Not ideal, but if he keeps quiet, it's going to be the best we can hope for.
T2 ushers Nav quickly to the door.
Listen closely. There's a killer somewhere in the area. We think they might be very close. We don't have time to get you out, so I need you to stay in here and keep quiet for your own sake.
Nav is pushed inside. Interior lunchroom. This is a staff lunchroom for those who work at the track. It's small and unremarkable. A table, a few chairs, coffee machine, snack dispenser, sink with dishes stacked on it. Nav is thrust into the room and the door is closed behind him. He rushes back, but there is a click as it's locked.
Hey, what about my artificial?
I said stay quiet.
Hey!
No answer. Nav tries the door, but it's locked. He hammers on it with his fists.
Hey!
Interior games room. Armed troops, including T4 and T5, pour into the games room where Cargo and Tech were playing. It's empty, and they quickly fan out to check corners.
Clear.
No sign of anyone.
The group relax a little, but are still alert. As they continue to talk, the camera pans up to see the ceiling vent immediately above them.
I thought there was someone supposed to be in here.
They may have left when we got everyone else out.
Interior roof space. In the dark cavity of the roof between the roof proper and the internal ceiling is a gap just large enough to hold Tech. She's pressed carefully into the space and is listening to the conversation through a roof grate.
We've locked down every exit to the province. If Fugitive 139 is still here somewhere, we'll find them.
Tech listens without moving. Interior lunchroom. Nav is standing next to the door. He tries the handle, but it's locked. He sighs and slumps against the wall, frustrated and a little confused. Suddenly there is a scream in the distance, loud but cut off quickly. There are a few muffled yells and then gunfire. Nav backs slowly away from the door as the gunfire moves closer. It gets fewer in number. Silence sets in with a final scream. Nav is staring horrified at the door. He backs away as he hears footsteps approaching. He backs into the sink and knocks plates off the side onto the sink with a clatter which he tries to stop. The footsteps have stopped outside the door. The handle turns, but the door does not open as it's locked. Nav looks around frantically and dives under the table. The door is suddenly kicked open. From under the table, Nav can make out the silhouette of a pair of booted legs and a gun. Through the legs, a dead patrol officer can be seen in the hall. The figure pauses to survey the room and then walks deliberately to the table. Nav is terrified.
Ian O'Connell, it is imperative that you come with me quickly. There is danger here.
Nav sticks his head out to see the figure is Nigel. There's blood on its uniform and it's carrying a gun, but it's otherwise looked as if it's just stopped by the lunchroom for a sandwich. Nav scrambles to his feet.
Nigel, I am so glad to see you. What the hell is going on?
Nigel moves to the door and quickly scans the corridor in both directions. In the corridor, there are bodies of 3 armed troopers at one end of the corridor. They were killed viciously and quickly. Nigel does not seem concerned by them as it has seen them before.
There have been some deaths, Ian O'Connell.
Nav balks as he steps out into the corridor.
The patrol, how?
I believe this is the work of a single individual, armed and dangerous. Patrol refer to them as Suspect 139.
And she did this?
I cannot comment on the gender of Suspect 139, but yes, they are responsible for the deaths of the patrol officers.
How many?
All of them. I have found 14 bodies. We need to leave here quickly.
Interior, bar. Most civilians have been moved to booths where they are guarded by troopers or Gurney's friends. Captain Security and Gurney are with the remaining troopers. T3 is listening to his radio.
Roger that. Fugitive 139 is on the move towards this location. We need to find a way to protect these people.
Gurney snarls at Security.
Beginning to sound a little familiar, isn't it, Menzies?
What the hell is your issue? We've got people's lives at stake here.
Got no issue with that, or with you. Ask him. Go on. Ask him about the medal he got.
Security isn't meeting anyone's gaze. Gurney continues.
Premise primer. Camp Delta 3. We were on station to suppress a local insurrection. Group of hotheads threatening government stability and trade routes. We got shipped in with a bunch of K-12 suppression robots. Turned the conflict around in a matter of months. Just before we pulled out, though, some brass got wind of a gathering of people known to be associated with rebel members. So he sent in the K-12s. It was just before all the can't hurt humans stuff was hardwired in.
Security is stone-faced, trying not to react. Captain is fascinated despite himself. Gurney is trying hard to hide his contempt.
It was a school. They were kids. Sons, daughters, nephews, nieces. Sure, they were affiliated with the rebels, but they just didn't deserve that. The K-12s just mowed them down. Some managed to run, and the K-12s went in pursuit, shooting at anyone who tried to protect the kids. Our groups got split into 2 teams, and each given clean-up duty. Menzies and his lot went after the K-12s, shut them down before they torched the whole town or were damaged themselves. Everyone in his group got a medal. Expensive pieces of equipment, those robots. Dangerous to confront them. As for my team, the ones who had to go and hose down the walls, collect the pieces that remained of those kids, we didn't get anything. We were an embarrassment to the brass who gave the order, so we were all warned to hush up. Can't do to have a scene. So you'll forgive me if I'm a little hesitant to trust the lives of these people to someone like him.
Gurney storms off. Captain just looks at Security, who is staring fixedly at the wall behind the bar. Exterior, roof. Tech is scrambling quickly along a rooftop. She reaches the edge and looks over. A couple of troopers are moving below, scanning the street. Tech quickly ducks back and catches her breath. She glances around for another way off the roof and heads off quickly in the new direction. Exterior street. Troopers, including T4, are giving orders to a small crowd who have been evacuated from nearby buildings. Among them are the staff and players from the game room, including Cargo.
Fugitive 139 has been seen moving this way. We need to clear the streets. Everyone is to report to their home, lock their doors, and stay inside till further notice. Listen to the emergency broadcast channel for more.
Crowds start to disperse, but Cargo moves forward to talk to T4.
I don't have a home to go to, unless you count my ship.
You're a spacer?
Freight hauler, Antaries.
All right. Get back to your ship. We've biolocked the spaceport to stop our fugitive getting away. You'll need to let the system scan you, just like we did. Once the scanner checks you for any prior convictions, it will unlock the seal and you can move through.
Scanner, no priors, doors will open. Got it.
Once you're on your ship, don't leave until the tower gives you an all clear. 139 has got off worlds before. It's just pure luck we found them this time. We can't afford to let them get away again.
Interior, bar. Gurney is standing with his friends. Security is at the bar talking to no one. Captain moves over and sits down next to him. Both sit in silence for a while, looking at nothing.
Want me to explain it? Say why I'm better than he makes me out to be?
Captain looks at security but says nothing, giving the man time.
But there's nothing to explain. I don't care about those kids. I know I should, but it wasn't my job. My job was to make the planet safe, and I did. I was a soldier, and that involved killing people. There is a reason they don't use soldiers as a police force.
There's more silence for a while.
We've both been there, Dave, one way or another. I was a soldier too, before my discharge. When the role for security officer on the Antaries came up for renewal, I had a dozen applicants, all telling me about how good they were with weapons, how good they were at one combat form or another. Then this one application comes through, and it's all about how his job as security officer is to keep people safe. And that stood out. That was different. That's why I chose you.
There is a commotion at the door. T4 arrives leading Nav and Nigel.
Sir, we found these two on the streets. The artificial was at building 72.
Nigel and Nav move to the group.
Captain, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you.
We lost contact with our units at building 72. Can you confirm what happened?
I am a 420D. If you have an uplink, I can provide a data dump.
Get it set up. How are the streets?
Clear now, but it took way too long. 139 could be anywhere by now.
We have biolocks on all the transports out of the district and on the spaceport. When they move, we will find them.
Sorry, but I'm feeling a little out of my depth. What should I do?
He's one of my crew. Can he get back to our ship?
We've been telling all spacers to return to their ship. The biolocks are only scanning for prior convictions, so your crew can get through.
Nigel grips Captain's arm and speaks quietly so as not to be overheard.
Andrew Harrow, not all our crew are safe to return to the ship.
What do you mean?
You may not be aware that Technician Ravi Van has an outstanding warrant for murder on a rogue colony. For all we know, she may well be Fugitive 139.
Captain looks at Nigel skeptically.
This is Ravi we're talking about. She looks like a strong wind would break her in half.
Ravi Van, accused murderer who took out 2 armed pirates while she was unarmed on our first ship trip out.
Captain considers what he is being told uncomfortably. Interior spaceport entrance. A foyer area with big glass doors. The area is deserted. The doors open to admit Tech, who scans the empty foyer carefully and then ducks inside. As the door closed behind her, A small red light next to the door begins to flash. Interior bar. T3's radio crackles.
Roger that. We're moving to intercept.
T3 addresses the assembled security forces.
All right, people. We have a confirmed scan of Fugitive 139 at the spaceport. All forces are moving to intercept. The biolocs won't let them go anywhere, but we don't want them taking hostages or hurting more innocents. Grab your gear and move out.
As troopers begin to file out, T3 addresses Captain Gurney and security.
That means you too. Let's move. Double time.
They all grab up weapons and follow the troopers out. Interior, spaceport entrance. Tech has crossed the deserted foyer and arrived at a pair of internal doors. She moves quickly to them, but they're locked. She pulls at them in frustration, but they do not open. From behind her, a voice speaks.
They are bio-locked.
Tech starts and turns to look. A figure, Fugitive 139, steps from the shadows.
Biolocked? Why?
Apparently, there's a dangerous criminal about, so they have bio-sealed the doors. If you want to get through, you need to pass your hand under the scanner there. Opens to let people through, unless their bio matches something on the patrol wanted records.
Tech looks at the device and impulsively puts her hands behind her back.
Go on. The doors will open for you.
Tech tries to act nonchalant.
Oh, I just wanted to look at some of the spacer ships. It's not important. I'll come back another time.
She turns to leave but stops short, seeing that Fugitive 139 has a gun drawn.
I said, scan your hand. The doors open and we can both go through.
Tech steps back as Fugitive advances. She knows better than to try and fight.
Lucky for you, the scanner needs to detect a pulse, or I'd just cut your hand off and use it as a scan card.
Fugitive lunges forward and grabs Tech in a hold, gun to her temple, left arm around her neck.
Now, put your hand in the scanner.
You really don't want me to do that?
I'm not asking, I'm telling.
Tech closes her eyes and passes her hand under the scanner. There's a warning beep and suddenly alarm sound. Fugitive whirls in surprise as armed troops pour into the foyer, along with Captain Security and Gurney. All have weapons drawn and all are pointing at Fugitive. Fugitive is holding Tech as a body shield and hostage, pistol at her head. Everyone begins yelling at the top of each other.
Put the gun down.
Put the weapon.
Away from the girl.
Fugitive 139, you are under arrest.
Take the shot!
Don't do it.
Stand
It's
down.
not worth it.
Stand down.
Open the
Can't
locks.
do that.
Finally, above the chaos, we hear the captain speaking to security.
Dave, make the planet safe.
Close up on security, who fires a single shot. Close up of Tech's face, looking shocked. She looks down at the blood spreading from her shoulder across her chest. She collapses, exposing Fugitive 139, who has been shot in the centre of the chest through her. Fugitive 139 dribbles blood from the mouth and collapses as well. Everyone rushes forwards. T3 is on his radio.
Dispatch, get me a medical team to the spaceport. We have a juvenile female with a gunshot wound to the shoulder and an adult female with a gunshot wound to the chest.
Captain has scooped up Tech and is trying to move through the crowd of troopers to the entrance with her.
Move!
The crowd part and Captain moves away carrying Tech. Security and Gurney follow as far as the edge of the crowd but stop. The rest of the troopers turn back to focus on Fugitive 139, leaving the two to talk.
I must admit, Menzie, that was one hell of a shot. If you had missed, you could have killed that girl.
I did miss. I was aiming for his head.
Security moves off after the captain, leaving Gurney a little shocked by what he heard. Interior courtroom. A small court with a standard trapping. A judge sits behind a podium. There's a bailiff supporting him, a stenographer, and a table for the prosecution and defence. On the defendant table sits Tech, her arm in a sling. Behind her in the public seating is the Antaries crew, Tech's mother, Douglas, and T3, as well as other members of the public. The judge is flicking through folders of paperwork.
Case 1782, the Colony versus Ravi Van.
He closes the folder and looks at Tech.
I'm dismissing the charge of resisting arrest as you had left the planet before a warrant was issued, and there has been no clear evidence presented to me that you have actually sought to avoid capture. A jury of your peers has found you not guilty of murder, but guilty of a lesser count of manslaughter. The only thing that is left for me to sentence you patricide is punishable by up to 90 years of incarceration, depending on the severity of the event. You are aware, Miss Van, of the severity of your crime?
Tech stands up uncomfortably.
Yes, Your Honour.
Judge looks carefully at Tech and then to the bailiff.
Trevor, what would you say the purpose of law is? Punishment for the sake of it? Vengeance?
Your Honour, I believe that I have said before that the purpose of law is to provide a safe community for all, and the purpose of this court is to impose punishments that act as a deterrent against first and re-offences.
I agree. And the risk with manslaughter is that it may reoccur if the occasion presents itself.
Agreed.
Judge turns back to Tech.
Your defence counsel has suggested that yours was a crime of passion peculiar to the relationship with the victim. We've heard from the Antaries logs provided by the artificial that even under threat of your life, you have refrained from killing others, even when such action was in self-defence. We also have statements from the Oroka Bank commending your restraint in performing a security test for them. It would seem to me that you are not a risk to the community. Still, we must consider the need for a deterrent.
Prosecution stands up.
Your Honour, if I may.
Go ahead, counsel.
The prosecution would be willing to accept a translated sentence considering the defendant's age and positive character witnesses that have been presented to the court.
I'm glad to hear you say that, counsel.
Judge opens a folder, makes a few notes before speaking again.
It is the decision of this court that Ravi Van is guilty of manslaughter and must serve 30 years in detention. However, we defer the sentence to banishment for equivalent period as measured locally. You will be conducted from this court to the ship of your choice, at which point you may not set foot on Oroka, Engate Station, or any of its affiliated locations. This ban will not be breached while you are on ship docked at these locations.
General relief for the court, except Tech's mother, who starts to cry.
Thank you, Your Honour.
This court will now take recess.
All rise.
The entire court stands as the judge leaves, then relaxes noticeably. The prosecution crosses to Tech and prosecution and defence all shake hands. Bailiff crosses and leads her from the court. The crowd begin to disperse. Cargo hasn't quite followed the legal proceedings.
Does that mean we are stuck with her for the next 30 years?
30 years local time. Continues during cryogenic sleep. For Ravi Van, it will be about 2.5 years.
That's still 5 contracts.
It'll go past quickly, believe me.
However you do the counting, it looks like Ravi will be with us for a while yet. And at least you won't have to worry about something happening every time we come across the patrol.
The crew moves out of the courtroom. Patrol ship corridor, bright. Survivor is running down the corridor, gun by his side. He reaches a corner, slides around and leans back to cover the way he came with his gun. There's no movement from the corridor. A hand appears and claps him on the shoulder from behind. Survivor screams and turns his gun on the person. It's Artie.
Artie! Don't sneak up on me!
I'm sorry. You told me to be silent.
Any sign of the lieutenant?
I have been unable to find any of the other crew.
We're meeting Rodney and Pete back in the mess hall after they link in the spare power. We need to get a distress signal out.
We are many days from Engate Station. The chances that they will be able to mount a rescue are remote.
We're inside the rim. We might get lucky with a passing transport. I don't want to die without even trying. Go and activate the distress beacon.
Is that a direct order, sir?
Yes, Artie. I am giving you a direct order to activate the distress beacon. I'm going down to the hold to see if I can get that other unit off the ship.
Understood.
Artie moves off, back down the corridor. Survivor returns to the corner and checks the corridor again. Seeing nothing, he carefully moves into the corridor, weapon up and ready. At the far end of the corridor, we see a shadow move across the lit corner.
Pete? Is that you?
The light goes out. Then the lights in the corridor begin to fail, slowly moving towards Survivor. He watched in fear as he slowly engulfed in darkness.
you read? Over.
Definitely distress beacon.
Can you make it?
We can, but we're going to have to burn extra if we want to make up time to get that bonus.
Alright, we go.